This little bathroom was my first project for my Instagram account. I first started with the toilet room. I had painted it a dark blue-gray whenever we first moved in, and the color was just too dark and I didn't like it. So on to priming, which is not my favorite part. But I got it all primed and I was really excited to get some color in here. I chose Alabaster by Sherwin-Williams. This is a really nice creamy white that goes with pretty much any color. Some people say it does look yellow in their house, but it does not in mine, and I have it everywhere. This whole room was blank and I wanted to add a little touch of decor to the back wall. I started by adding the support pieces for the floating shelves that would eventually be here. I either put them in a stud if I could, or attach them to the wall with drywall anchors like on the sides here. I got the bottom one put on too, and then did the left side. For my first project, my husband picked me up this circular saw, and it came in really handy. I really didn't know how to use it well then, and I didn't use a guide or anything, but I cut a somewhat straight line, which was fine, and I brought it in for a test fit and it fit just right. Then it was time for stain. I first used an oak stain, which was the color of the barn door on the outside of the toilet room, and then I went over it with a dark walnut because I wanted it a little bit darker. This is just plywood underlayment that I was using. It's really thin. I attached it with a brad nailer. I did the bottoms first, but then when I put the top on, it looked like it was sagging a little bit, so I went ahead and put some spacers on the inside. This worked really great, and the shelves are all straight. Back then, I was using this rigid brad nailer, which is okay, but you have to carry that really heavy air compressor around with you everywhere you go. Now I've upgraded to a cordless Milwaukee Fuel brad nailer, and that thing is amazing. It's expensive, but I think it's totally worth it. I used 1x3 common board for the very front of the shelves. I cut it to size and then I brought it in and test fit it. I brought it outside, stained it, and brought it back inside to attach it with the brad nailer. I got both the top and bottom done, and then it was time for baseboards. I upgraded our baseboards in here because the builder ones were so small and I wanted something a little bit taller. I like to paint my baseboards before I attach them to the wall so it's easier, and then I just do touch-ups. Here, I was marking the studs, which is good. But don't do what I did after this and use construction adhesive to put them on the wall and a nail gun. The construction adhesive is completely unnecessary. This was my very first time putting on baseboards, and I've recently redone this room again, and those things were a pain to get the construction adhesive off. Then I caulked it all. I would also do this a little bit different. Usually when I'm caulking the floor like this, I will put painter's tape down and then put the caulk on and immediately take the painter's tape off. That way I have a perfect line and it's not rubbed all over the floor. You see how it looks a little bit messy here. I did get it cleaned up with a baby wipe, but painter's tape works a lot better and it looks a lot nicer. This was the photo of when we first moved in, and then this was the photo after I painted it the dark blue, and this is where we're at now. Stay tuned for what's coming next. It gets even better, I promise.